to let everyone in from the waiting room.
All right, we are streaming also, but I'm going to press the record button on Zoom just as a backup.
All right, sounds good. You ready for me to get started?
This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, we are.
All right. Good evening, parents of the class of 2022. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. We are so excited to welcome you here this evening. We are recording this meeting and we will post it on the website for those families who were not able to attend. And our agenda for the evening was emailed out to you with the reminder in the Zoom link today. So first and foremost, I'd like to welcome everybody this evening and say thank you for coming. We have a lot of information to share with you tonight and understand that there may be a lot of follow-up questions. What I would ask is that as we continue through the presentation this evening, you post your questions in the chat, and at the end of the presentation or at the end of our topics of conversation, we will address the questions as they arise. And plenty of time to do that. If you want to wait and see if something's covered, that's absolutely fine. So I'd like to start this evening. I'm joined tonight by Ms. Krista Larson and Mr. Dylan Bernard, who are our senior class advisors. Wave, say hello. They're going to be helping us plan and execute the senior class activities. What is important for families to know is that we are committed to providing your sons and daughters with the most authentic senior year experience we can as we come out of this pandemic. The kids have been absolutely wonderful. They're off to a great start to their senior year, and we're looking forward to doing a lot of fun activities and events with them as they move towards graduation from Portland High School. The first question that has arisen is graduation from Portland High School. We will be meeting with the Board of Education most likely in December to set the graduation date for the spring. Once that is set by the Board of Education, it will be publicized and we will send it out to families. The first agenda item that I have is really a plea for help. We are in desperate need as a district of bus drivers, substitute teachers, and a project graduation committee for the class of 2022. At this point, I do not have a committee chair to chair the project grad committee. If anyone is interested in learning what that is about, please contact Lisa Daggett, call my office, and I'll be happy to connect you with her via email or cell phone. I want to make sure that we have, if at all possible, an experience for the kids graduation night that has traditionally been run by a project graduation committee with independent fundraising. In the past 2 years, Project Grad has gotten involved with decorating and executing a lovely graduation ceremony, and those things are I think, critical to the experience, the culminating experience from Portland High School. Substitute teachers, we are in dire need. If you know of anyone who is available at any point in time to register with our substitute teacher service, we would be happy to have them. Bachelor's degree has historically been required. However, this year there is a waiver from the state of Connecticut that teachers can apply for, or that substitutes can apply for, and they can be a part of our substitute service as we head into the cold and flu months. And I'm sure you've all heard from Dr. Britton repeatedly about the need for bus drivers. So please think about that as you are talking to family and friends, and think of anybody who would be available to be a resource to Portland. I wanted to take a minute to clarify, and I will be clarifying with the senior class later on this week, about senior privilege. Last year during COVID, when we were in a block schedule of 90-minute classes, as a safety measure, we were allowing students who had the transportation and the means to leave during the school day when they did not have a scheduled class. And that was to avoid congregation, and it was to spread kids out as much as possible. This year, we are returning to a traditional senior privilege, and my conversation with the students has been about it being a privilege, and that means that they are in good standing academically and in line to graduate in June, and they are also adhering to the Code of Conduct of Portland High School. Seniors who meet that criteria are eligible to, with parent permission, leave during their study hall period and their day 4 study hall block. Seniors are not permitted to leave during lunch and flex and/or the mentor period. Please know that regardless of the conversation that occurs, that is the standard that we are setting, and I'll be reviewing that with the senior class shortly. We want them to be here to participate in our new flex period and to be a part of the student body in a positive way as they approach graduation. At this point, I'd like to turn the program over to Mr. Bernard and Ms. Larson to talk about the senior trip, our fundraisers, and our yearbook.
Welcome, guys. I want to just give you a brief update on what's going on with the senior trip. We met with the seniors last mentor period, and we brought them up to date. We are going to Boston on October 15th. That's a Friday. We're going to leave the building at 8 a.m. in the morning, and we're going to head up to Boston for a duck tour around noon. After the duck tour, we're then going to convene in Quincy Market for lunch and shopping. And then after a couple of hours there, we will take a bus back to Springfield, where we're going to go to Six Flags for the Fright Fest. So on Fridays in October, Fright Fest runs from 6 to 11. So we are hoping to spend about 3.5 hours there, from 6 to 9:30, so that we can be home by 11. So it's a long day, but this is what the kids had asked. This is what they had wanted, and I know that they really do enjoy Six Flags, and they do enjoy like a theme park experience. We met with them, like I said, last mentor, to go over some of the details. Permission slips were due this week and money was due this week. However, there still are just a few outstanding. So we're asking that everyone have their money and all permission slip forms in by tomorrow. The head count has gone out. We have 60 students attending the trip, and we are requiring that they either be tested and receive a negative COVID test or proof of vaccination. And that's something that they can take care of with the school nurse ahead of time. There is a COVID waiver form that they also have to have signed, which we are still accepting. Do I need to add anything else about the trip?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So our trip is expensive. Prices have gone up in COVID. And it was a little more than we had anticipated. And with our lack of fundraising over the past few years, a couple of years, we had to charge them $75 for the trip. In addition to our senior class trip, we have a boat trip at the end of the school year where the students receive their yearbooks and they sign them, and it's a dinner and a dance on the Lady Catherine on the river. And that also does cost money. So we typically in the past don't charge for that. We are able to use class funds. But right now we're kind of playing around with our class funds and making sure that we can pay for our senior class trip and Lady Catherine. So we do have some fundraisers coming up this year to, make up for the couple of years where we weren't able to really fundraise quite, what we wanted. So the first fundraiser that we have is on November 2nd. We have a bake sale. That's the day of the election. And we do have several volunteers already signed up to work the event. So
about 20 of them.
About 20?
Mm-hmm.
Yay. Okay, that's awesome. So what we're asking really for now are just bakers, any parents, any students, siblings, anyone interested in baking for the bake sale, and information will be pushed out on the Google Classroom as it gets closer for signups for that. We also have another fundraiser planned for December 14th. We are looking to have Jim Spinato. He's a hypnotist and slash comedian. He's hysterical. We're having him come in at 6:30 on, I think it's a Tuesday, December 14th, and put on his act. It's fun. It's engaging. The kids get involved. It's interactive. He gets about 20 kids up on the stage and hypnotizes them. So really looking forward to that one. That's a fun event. In addition to that, of course, we have our PIA teacher event that we are going to be running again during the December PEP rally. And then we were throwing around other ideas for fundraisers, and we'd love to hear your feedback on them. One idea that the kids really liked was hosting a babysitting night at the high school in conjunction with a restaurant fundraiser, something like Chili's or something that would attract parents to go out. So I think that's pretty much it for upcoming fundraisers and senior trips.
I think the only thing I'd like to interject, and please, to the 40 participants that are on this call, please spread this word. I don't want any seniors to miss out on any of the activities due to an inability to pay. A confidential phone call to me will absolutely result in the support that a family needs. So please share that.
And most of the fundraising that we have planned for this year is pretty essential since COVID kind of stopped us from fundraising in the past. We, as a class, we're okay. I know some of the students thought we were one of the poorer classes, which is actually the flip side compared to everybody else. But because COVID has caused the price to go up for a number of different things like the trip and especially the cruise, it's not what we had originally planned for, so we are short, hence the need for us to fundraise to cover some of those additional costs for that.
You want to talk about yearbook?
Yes. I'm just hoping my computer holds up doing 3 things, but we should be good. All right, so yearbook. I'm going to put in the chat for everyone a link to the yearbook website, which is also available on the high school website. That pretty much has all the information that you need for everything yearbook related for senior year. We just closed out our first yearbook sale, which was $55, and then if you bought a line of personalization, which could be like their name, then they would get the 4 free icons, little symbols that could be added onto the book for no additional charge. That ended on October 1st. The price of the yearbook is not changing, but the cost of the icons and whatnot are returning to regular price. The yearbook will pretty much be at the $55 for pretty much the rest of the fall. I can't remember off the top of my head the exact date that it switches, but basically if you're going to buy a yearbook, now is the best time because the price will only go up from here. This year we also have a limited number of yearbooks that we could order, so it's pretty much once we hit that number, there's not going to be extras over that we could sell after the fact. So definitely encourage your students if they want one, that we could to have them order one. You could order it online or through we have order forms. Either is perfectly acceptable. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Would help if I hold on. It's not like I'm the tech teacher or anything. Okay, can you see it?
Almost.
Still loading?
There you go.
Perfect. All right, let me just make sure it cuts up for YouTube people. Okay, so this is the yearbook website. All the important dates are listed on this calendar, which we tried to send out. Pretty much if you go to the link that's in the chat, it will bring you to this page. If you want to add this calendar, you could simply open it over here, and then it could give you the option to add it to yours. You could either do the specific event or like the advertisements and grid. Payments being due on November 1st, you just copy that to your calendar and it should hopefully work. if you have a Google Calendar. Otherwise, we could try to help you get things, but we'll pair up with the Highlander highlights and send the important dates out. On this calendar, important dates that are coming up, on October 22nd, their senior portrait quotes are due. This is a free quote that's open for all seniors. It appears underneath their portrait section in the yearbook, and as long as it's school appropriate, it will be added into the book. We'll try to notify them if there's duplicates that show up. Some of them don't care. Others will tend to want to change it. The important date for you is the ads and grids being due on November 1st. So the senior grids are pretty much a half-page write-up where you get an additional portrait, which could be from any photographer. I'll scroll down so you can see the example. You get a portrait, you get a quote, and then the kids could pretty much write about their favorite high school experiences, shout-outs to their friends, family members, teachers, sports teammates, anything that they want. That's $180. It goes in the very front of the book. It's one of the first things that people will see. To help raise funds for that and help pay for that, we offer the advertisements as we always have. Prices are the same as the past couple of years. There's 4 different sizes, and students could sell those to parents, businesses, grandparents, family, anyone else to help raise those. It could be any combination of ads to get the $180. And if you sell all $180 in ads, then you don't have to pay anything additional for the grid. If you only sell like $90 in ads, then you only have to pay $90 for the grid. It's kind of prorated based on what you sell. All of the grids payments and the advertisements and materials are due on that November 1st. The students don't need to have their grids done until right before Thanksgiving break. So it'll give them a little bit more time to work on it. But the payment has to be done so we could plan who's getting a grid, how many pages we need for the grid, and that way we make sure we have enough pages in the rest of the yearbook for things like some of the other dances, some of the other sports clubs, a lot of the things that were taken out of last year's book because they simply did not happen are all coming back in this year's book. We actually, the editors, tried to cut some of the pages down to reduce the overall cost of the book. We removed 28 pages, and when we looked at the list of things that we had to add back in, it was pretty much a wash for that. So we're right around the same page page amount for that, but we have all of the fun things coming back that we used to have. Anything you need to submit, you can also do so through this website underneath the submissions. The kids opted to keep the throwbacks, the baby pictures, the car photos, all of those fun pages. You could pull up to this website, click on the different Google form, put in your information, and it will go to the student who's in charge of that this year. So that's pretty much that for your book. Everything you need for it is on this website. All the information for your grids, the advertisements. Jostens actually does a new feature that they brought in the past couple of years where you could do your yearbook ads completely online. So you as the parent could design it, pay for it, submit it, and then it goes right onto a yearbook page, and my student editors who are in charge will finalize it, place it where it needs to go, and make sure it's included, and then we'll cross-reference everybody's in that final check.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bernard. I know we see some questions coming into the chat. Before I turn it over, and I'm going to ask you to moderate them because I think most of them are about yearbook. First and foremost, I would like to thank all the parents that are on the call this evening. Being on this call shows your commitment to the senior class, and I want you to know that we have a shared commitment to making their senior year as memorable as we possibly can. I'd like to have a special thank you to Mrs. Larson and Mr. Bernard. who have worked tirelessly and creatively to come up with COVID-safe, appropriate, fun activities for the senior class. They are truly wonderful advisors, and your children are very, very lucky to have them. Mr. Bernard.